Hey everyone, welcome back. So I hope you had a wonderful week. It's the weekend now, Friday. We got the Labor Day weekend up ahead, so hope you guys have a great Labor Day weekend. A couple of things we're going to talk about, obviously, is Bitcoin, what's going on with it. It's trading sideways a little bit, so we'll take a look. We'll take a look at the miners as well, see how they did today. It was a mixed bag. Hive, we got the ATM news come out today that they're going to be possibly using up $100 million at the market funding. We'll take a look at that, what that actually means. And then we also have Cleanspark, record August production for BTC. So we'll get into all that and more. And as always, you guys know the drill here, not financial advice. For entertainment only, do your own research. I'm investing following coins and companies, and I am investing in Cleanspark, just so you guys are aware. And let's take a look at the market here really quick, and then we'll get into the other miners and Bitcoin as well. So the S&P was down 500 today. The S&P 500 was down 1.07% today. Dow Jones was down 1.04%. NASDAQ was down 1.31%. NASDAQ has been on basically a whole week losing streak ever since Friday of last week. Ever since Papa Powell made his little comments on Friday, the NASDAQ has not liked it at all this week. So it's been a rough week for that. And let's take a look at Bitcoin here really quick. Bitcoin right now is at 19,955. It was down today. Obviously, we're in the new day now, but it was down today 0.89% on the day. And we can see that it's kind of trading sideways here. And there's not much action going on. We can see on the RSI here as well that it's going sideways. And we'll just have to see if, possibly within the next week or so, if we break past this trend line here or if we go down. We did the same thing here. We had basically almost the same type of setup like this last week, right before Friday's sell-off. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days. Seventh day we went down. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So hopefully today, which is now going into Saturday, it's not going to be the same as that. And we fall below our support here at 19,500. That's the hope. We'll see if that happens. I'm thinking it's more or less going to trade sideways a little bit. Once we get to this line here, that will be interesting whether or not we bounce off of it or if we fall below it. If we do fall below it, then our 19,500 support is gone. We'll probably come down to maybe the previous low, which was 17,500 or so, which was right around here. So something to keep an eye on. And Ethereum is at 1,572 right now. And that one is kind of doing the same thing as Bitcoin here a little bit. It is going up in price a little bit, but it is trading sideways for the most part. Not much action going on right now. All right, so that's it on Bitcoin and Ethereum. Let's take a look at the miners here, how they did today. Annie was down 0.60% to 59 cents. Argo was down, was up 1.76% to 44 cents. I can't talk today. Bit Digital was down 2.76% to $1.41. Bitfarms was down 2.4% to $1.22. Cleanspark was down 0.49% to $4.06. Surprisingly, even though they provided pretty good numbers for August. Cores was flat today to $2.12. DigiHost was down way big, down 11.74% to 67 cents. DMG was flat, 21. Greenwich Energy was down 3.51% to $2.20. Hive was down 1.24% to $4.79. Hut 8 was down 2.55% to $1.91. Iris Energy was up 1.75% to $4.08. Luxfolio was up 3.57% to almost 7 cents, 6.97 cents. And Marathon was down 1.13% to $11.38. Mawson was up 2.25% to 71 cents. Riot was down 3.21% to $6.63. And Soluna Holdings was up 0.58% to $2.59. And Stronghold was up 2.19% to $1.40. And that is it on the miners. So a mixed bag on the miners as well. Not a great week. We'll take a look at the weekly numbers tomorrow in tomorrow's video. I'll do that one. Compare it to Bitcoin, see which one's the better than Bitcoin or which one's the worse. But that'll be in tomorrow's video. So let's take a look at first thing, Bitcoin halving clock, 564 days, roughly until the next halving. Hive Blockchain establishes a US 100 million at the market equity program. They've done this before. So Hive is pleased to announce it has entered into an at the market offering agreement with H.C. Wainwright and Company, the agent. The having an aggregate offering price of up to 100 million. That's if obviously they use it all. The company intends to use the net proceeds of the ATM equity program, if any, primarily to support the growth and development of the company's existing mining operations, as well as working capital and general corporate purposes. Additionally, the company wishes to be in a position to capitalize on opportunities which may exist or may be brought to its attention relating to distressed asset sales of mining equipment throughout the mining ecosystem. Right, we're seeing that kind of happening right now. Cleanspark was able to buy a facility relatively inexpensively along with miners for it. They also bought some other miners from CoinMint. So we are seeing that kind of happening right now where some of the miners are taking advantage of it. I think the best one to do it right now is possibly Cleanspark. They've been increasing their hash rate and their infrastructure as well. So they've been doing a great job at it. Let's take a look at Hive's numbers here. So they're looking to get $100 million at the market offering, but they do have about 62 million in BTC value right now. So how do we go about this? Right, they could sell this right now at a pretty low spot with where Bitcoin is right now, around 20,000. If they hold on to those shares, let's say Bitcoin goes up to 25,000 next or 50,000 next year. That would obviously double to 120 million roughly, as long as that doesn't change. So are they better off taking the ATM or selling Bitcoin? That's a tough one. They might do a mixture of both. They might use the ATM a little bit, or half of it, or 3/4 of it, and then sell some of their BTC HODL if Bitcoin starts going back up. Excuse me. So that's a tough one to say which one's going to play out better, right? If you believe in Bitcoin going up in price, I think right now, as low as we are with Bitcoin, I think it is a good, possibly, thing to do is to hold on to their BTC HODL, take out the ATM. It is going to obviously dilute shares right now. We do have them at 82 million roughly shares outstanding that are in circulation based on the market cap dividing it by the stock price. We're getting 82 million shares roughly. So with them adding 100 million in shares to it, the stock price is at 485. That's basically right now, let's say it's $5 the stock price. That would be adding 20 more million shares into the circulation, which would get them up to 100 million, which wouldn't be too bad. They have obviously done this before where they diluted shares in order for growth. So I'm okay partially with that. I would hope that they use part of their BTC HODL to fund growth, as well as possibly using a little bit of the ATM as well. So that's kind of what my thinking is on this. I don't want companies to just HODL, and dilute shares like crazy. I want them to do possibly both. Sell some Bitcoin HODL, get some loans, or like they're doing the ATM offering here, and do a combination of it. But I just don't want to see companies doing all HODL and then diluting shares for it. So that's it. That's my take on Hive. Hive obviously has the async miners also that are coming up from Intel. So I think that's going to be partially used for growing that hash rate on that side. We don't know exactly how many they're going to be buying as far as the number of miners and what they're going to be actually hashing at. So we're still waiting on that information. The other part is if Ethereum stops or switches over to proof of stake this month in September, that's going to be a pretty big hit to them. Obviously, they're going to go into high computing, and they can obviously mine some other coins, but it's not going to be as profitable as it has been currently. So they need to obviously grow with that. They have been very profitable with mining Ethereum and switching it over to BTC. It has obviously helped them with their BTC per petahash rate, and they've been pretty much on the top miner as far as efficiency goes. I think that's going to change once that happens with Ethereum. When it will happen, not sure. They're saying in September, but we'll see if it doesn't get kicked down the road a little bit. So that's obviously something to be mindful of with Hive. Okay, so I think that covers Hive. Let's take a look at Cleanspark news here. So Cleanspark, I went through the press release here. So August 2022 Bitcoin mining update. Here's a quote from them. We set out at the beginning of the year to become a top 5 publicly traded Bitcoin mining company, and with our outstanding operational performance in 2022, we can say we are now firmly in that category. I would agree right now. I mean, you got Cores, you got Hut, not Hut, you got Cores, Marathon, possibly if they get their miners up and running, Riot, Bitfarms, and now possibly Cleanspark as being in the top 5. Depending where Marathon obviously comes in, if they got the miners energized or not, that's obviously going to put them lower or higher than possibly Cleanspark. But that is true. So we now own and operate 3 campuses in Georgia. Our hash rate has tripled over the last year, which is no small feat to accomplish, especially in this market. They started out about 1 exahash and got up to 3 exahash, which is huge within a year. We now own, we now own and operate 3 I already said that. We are on a trajectory to nearly double that in less than half the time it took us to get from 1 exahash to 3 exahash. So if they're going to double it from 3 to, looks like they're possibly looking to get to 6 exahash. They are at 3.4 right now, I believe. What else? Okay, so now the Bitcoin mining operations update. So Bitcoin mined in August, 395, up 190% from August, which is great. So a pretty big increase from last year. Total BTC holdings as of August 31st is 526. So they did add a little bit to their HODL position, but sold the majority of it. Total BTC converted for operations and growth in August was 388, which is 9% less than July, so that's good. And then currently deployed fleet of over 36,800 latest generation Bitcoin miners with a hash rate of 3.4 exahash, up 19% from July 2022 and 331% from August of 2021. Huge increase for them on that. The only impact it had, which we'll get into it, is on their efficiency a little bit because the miners came in towards the end of the month. I'm expecting them to make or generate a lot more Bitcoins in September in this month because the miners will be up longer. The company funded growth and operations through the sale of 388 BTC in August 2022 at an average approximately $23,088. That's an increase of 11% over last month's average price per BTC sold, so that's good. Then Washington, Georgia site update. Technical crews in Washington have worked around the clock to bring miners online. Since closing in late August, there are now over 6,000 miners online out of over 10,000 miners that are on the site. The company expects to energize the remaining miners next week. So if that happens, it's another possibly, what's going to be, if we have 4,000 miners, that's going to be another 40 petahash, I believe. If my math is right, we'll take a look at it here, but I think that might be right. Doing it just off the top of my head. And then they did hire some gentleman here, Taylor Monig, to the company as Vice President of Mining Technology. Monig has some experience, 8 years in the industry, so that's a good thing there. And that is it. So let's take a look at the update here for them on my sheet, and we'll call it a day. Okay, so here's what we got. Let's take a look at the numbers as they are. So 385 obviously is good. They were at 384 BTC mined last month. Now I took the average. I didn't take the average. It's almost the average. If we take the average of the last, from January through July, we're looking at about 0.1314 BTC per petahash. So if we use that number roughly, we're pretty close to that. We're looking at, with the current hash rate that they have, for September, we're looking around 451 BTC being mined, which is obviously going to be a pretty sizable increase from August alone. Now, if they even get more miners installed, we could be looking at maybe 460, somewhere around there. So pretty close to that. They did generate about 8.8 million in revenue from that, and I'm using the average Bitcoin price for the month of August. That's how that's being calculated. So it is an increase of 11 BTC from prior month, 2.86% increase overall. The nice thing is here, they are up about 506 petahash month over month from July into August, and we'll probably get a little bit more of an uptick here in September as well. Okay, so that is that. So that's great. Update there. The miners that we didn't get installed here were the ones that were obviously part of that transaction, the August 9th transaction of buying the facility, and the miners along with it. So they had 340 petahash in there. So if we had another 4,000 miners, that would be another 400 petahash, it looks like. So I was wrong. It's not 40 petahash. It's 400 petahash that they would be adding in this month alone. So that's good there. So we got those installed here in August, running for maybe about 10 days on their clock. And then we also added in 20 days of these miners, the 1,665 of the 100 terahash miners at approximately 166 petahash, which got us to the 3.4 exahash that they reported. So we're pretty close to that right there. And I did have to take them down a little bit as far as production days. There's 31 days in August. I have them at 28.7 to get us to the 8.8 million roughly in revenue that they possibly generated based on the average Bitcoin price for the month and how many Bitcoins they mined. So they were down a little bit, possibly for curtailment purposes, for energy demand into the communities and things like that, which is fine, which isn't too bad. Now that we're getting into September, things should cool off a little bit. They should be able to run a little bit longer on the miners that they do have. And depending where Bitcoin ends up being, we could be right around the same amount here or a little bit higher, depending on if Bitcoin goes up in price. And then we average it all out, and we'll come up with a number here to see where they are with revenue for September. But if they add another 400 petahash, that's going to be obviously a pretty nice increase for them as well. So maybe closer to 9.25 million, depending where Bitcoin goes. If Bitcoin goes down south, we could be lower than this, obviously. All right, so that's that. And let's take a look at the institutions. So institutions did increase by 6 to 157. Shares also did increase to 14.29 million. And percent owned actually decreased to 30.34. So there might have been some share dilution happening in August, it looks like, possibly. We still have one strong buy rating, 2 buy ratings, 0 hold, 0 underperform, 0 sells. Price targets came down, a high of 12, an average of 10.33, a low of 9. And I mean, you can see here from the beginning of the year when we started tracking this, in March, they were at $30, 23, and 16. So that is almost a 66% drop from where they've been, possibly looking to be at. And that's all based on Bitcoin price coming down. So I think that only makes fair. That's fair. And then looking obviously at the numbers on top here, they are right now about 70% operational. They did state that they want to get to 22.4 exahash by the end of possibly next year of 2023. That is going to be obviously challenging to do. If they get to 6 exahash by the end of this year, well, it's still going to be pretty tough to do. They're going to have to obviously buy some miners out or something, because it's going to be really tough to do that in 1 year. We've seen it with other companies. They've been struggling to grow by that much, other than possibly Core. Core has been on a tear as far as getting hash rate installed. Hash rate growth left 42% roughly, as we're looking at about 5 exahash here for them right now. Once we get more information as far as how they're going to get to 22.4, this will get updated as well, as we know which miners are getting, things like that. So then our hash rate growth is going to increase as well. So looking at the numbers for the current quarter and the last 3 quarters, we're looking at about 130 million in revenue, using the 50% net income from gross revenue. PE of 20, we're looking at $27 per share on the stock, and 75% net income from gross revenue, looking at $41.62. So based on where the analysts are looking at about $10, they're looking at about a PE of 8 or so, 7 to 8 on growth for that. But it also depends on how much they spend on getting things purchased, infrastructure, everything else. So it all depends on those numbers as well. But it's kind of where I'm looking at right now as far as where they could be if Bitcoin starts going back up. This is all dependent on Bitcoin going up. Given that they are right now at $4, and I think this might be old, $4.08, I think they're less than that right now. Where's Cleanspark at? They didn't update that part of it. Cleanspark is at 406, so not too far off. So at 406, I am, as you know, invested in this company. I am looking to increase the amount of shares that I have in them. Dollar cost average into them as best I can, while they are still pretty inexpensive, along with other companies, and possibly looking to get into another company as well. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I'm missing here that I wanted to show you guys. BTC Huddle, obviously 526, valued at about 10 million or so. And they did sell 388 at about 8.6 million or so, roughly. So a little bit of an increase here in BTC Huddle, about 7 BTCs added to the BTC Huddle position, which is fine. They are, I think, going to have to dilute shares by either doing an ATM, doing some other thing with loans or something like that, where they are going to have to get cash, obviously, to grow to the 22.4 exahash. So that's expected here. I think that is it. Overall, great job by Cleanspark here. You know, I have ragged on them before a little bit with their commercial for last year. This was last year. I ragged on them for the commercial and some of the stock options, things that they were doing. But they obviously have gotten their act together here as far as growing their hash rate. So that's really good. So congrats to those guys there. Oh, excuse me. And that's it. Easy week. We'll see what we have next week. CPI data is coming out next week, I believe. We'll take a look at that. That's going to obviously have an impact as far as what the Fed does and how the miners obviously do with the markets and everything else. If the Fed's going to go crazy on raising rates, it's going to be havoc. And then we'll see what the other miners report as well on what they're mining for August. There are production updates. All right, and I'm rambling on. If you guys enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. I don't do any, obviously, sponsors or anything like that. I don't think I ever will. I just want to be fair with you guys and everything else. So if you did enjoy it, hit the like button. It helps me out. And spreadsheet is available to my Patreon members. Thank you to everyone there for their support. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a wonderful weekend. It's obviously Labor Day weekend. I hope you guys have a great time. Enjoy. Be safe out there. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.